Z-score is a composite quantitative number that we create for a night of sleep. And it's based on how many times you bite and how hard you bite. So that it kind of, it takes into account all of the things that are sort of important for users in terms of their jaw feelings of discomfort and whatnot. So we refer to a study night as a night where the device is monitoring the biting behavior of the user, but it's not trying to take any action to help the user stop that behavior. And the reason we do that is because at the very beginning, that big block of blue over to the left, we want to know what someone's natural sort of regular daily pattern is. That's because we have a very quantitative approach to treating bruxism. We want to know the starting point so that we can continue to monitor and reference to it to make sure that we're making progress on helping people resolve their teeth grinding issues and concerns. So I'm going to move left to right through the graph. And so after that big initial block of blue, which, sort of with the help of this user, we've been able to shrink that a little bit. We typically baseline people for somewhere between 3 and 5 nights. It just sort of depends on how consistent it is. But anyways, you can see a big green block next to it. That was sort of the initial, first 10-ish days of use. And then you can see that there's kind of a big shift down to a smaller little population of, to me, they're starting to look like trees. So little friendly green trees. And then to the far right, you see some blue come back again because that's measuring another thing that is important for Zerene. So how long the training lasts. So after you go through a period of training where you're getting feedback from the device to help you become aware of your biting behavior, we have the ability to learn it. Even though we're asleep, still unconsciously, your body's able to train itself to kind of like notice these moments with the help of the additional feedback from the device. And you don't forget that. It's kind of like riding a bike, unconscious. But we want to know, how long can users go before they need to come, take another ride around the block to make sure their skills stay strong. Everybody needs a refresher from time to time. I think this is kind of natural. So in this particular user, they started in May. We were talking about that early 14-day period. And then they did 30 sessions of training spanning basically from the start of June out through the end of July. So that's a 2-month period. Just wanted to call out that at the sort of end of a long block of usage, they took a really big break, a 1-month break. And we were excited to see that coming back after that 1-month break, they still were having a lot less grinding than they had at the beginning. All right, so as Arash mentioned earlier, we were in the process of developing the sort of mechanical structure of the product at the time. And so the red annotation here, straw fixed, is when Arash discovered a manufacturing process improvement that could be done to make sure the seals were better, basically, like for the user in their end use system, which for us, what it means is that it was under measuring before, and sort of after this line, it's measuring more accurately what the actual behavior is. So future users just get to benefit from this. But in the case of this user, we were probably getting an underreporting of what was going on before that change was made. And then the other thing that happened was there's a firmware update called out in gray. And that was when we changed the logic of the software that was inside the module to provide more timely responses to the biting to try to help improve like the training effect. At this point, we can now see some of the settings that we were using to try to improve the treatment effect for the user that we're discussing today. So the numbers that appeared on the graph are referring to the 2 points in time when we made sort of the first major corrections or adjustments to those settings. And so really quickly to re-explain what those settings are, one is when the device will start to provide feedback that you're biting. We call that the threshold. And so basically, you can set it to different levels, whether you have to bite really, really hard and really clench your jaw, or whether you can bite sort of medium or lightly. That's one of the settings we have to adjust. And the other is how much vibration the device provides to give you an external feedback that you're biting to help key you in on the behavior. So on the graph where we see the number 1, we made the first adjustment to this user's settings, and that was by boosting the motor vibration power. So we set it up to more sort of towards the upper end, and we watched the effect for a few days, and we noticed that it didn't have a strong response. So then we came in, made our second setting adjustment at point 2, where we decreased the threshold, meaning that it would trigger earlier. And because as we were talking earlier with Z-score, it's time and strength. So in this user's case, we needed to kind of hit that lower level to address the kind of biting that they were doing. And after that, you can sort of see that the green lines kind of shrink down to the axis or flatten out, which basically means that the bite effort is getting smaller and smaller over time. I guess maybe to summarize, obviously there was a learning journey we were going through with the product, like as this user was using it. With some product improvements, we were able to sort of at least quantitatively demonstrate a big shift in behavior from before they were getting, training feedback from the device to after. We also saw some durability to that training. And it's not in the data, but when we went through it with the user, they pointed out that they felt the training shift as well, and that when they did start to resume using it, they did so because they'd noticed, in the mornings, whereas they had been feeling a very very comfortable, very, very healthy jaw, they felt that it was starting to become a little bit more uncomfortable. But they knew that they could get back to that point by picking up Zerene again, which was really exciting for us to hear that they were able to make the connection with the, just the assistance, the help the device was able to provide.